Have you ever watched a horror movie that felt wrong? Like it was more than just a fictional movie? One that burrows into your brain and stays there? Or maybe it was so violent and disturbing that you've never been able to forget it. The demo for Dead format capitalizes on that feeling. I rarely dedicate entire videos to demos, but after playing this one, I knew I had to shine a spotlight on it. Released by Katana Levy, Dead format is a mixed media survival horror game that has one of the most unique premises I've seen. Set in Scotland in the 1990s, the game begins with you visiting your brother's apartment. You were initially meant to stay with him, but the intro explains that he's been missing for 2 weeks and no one has heard from him. Now that you're here, you find that your brother has left you a birthday present, but he warns you not to tell your parents about it. The present is a GHL tape of a silent film titled Symphony of a Severed Soul. What is a GHL tape? Well, if you explore the apartment and read all the notes, you'll find a news article that explains it. Known as Ghouls, GHL tapes are a rival video format to VHS and Betamax, which apparently boasts better quality and recording length. The downside is that these tapes can become haunted, although the article doesn't explain what that means. With no other clues, you pop the tape into your brother's player, and the game truly begins. The main gimmick of the game revolves around the tapes, as once you watch them, the front door to the apartment opens and leads you into the world of the film. What makes this demo extra impressive is that the 2 playable tapes both feature actual live-action footage that emulate the style of the eras they come from. The first tape being a silent black and white film, and the second being an 80s body horror sci-fi. Neither of these tapes are going to win any awards, but I really appreciate the effort the developer took to make unique films for their project, rather than using stock footage or films in the public domain. The gameplay loop is fairly simple. You find a tape, watch the film, explore the area it unlocks to find another tape, and repeat. Again, this is a demo, and it only lasts about 20 minutes, so there's not going to be tons of content. The first tape you play is the Symphony of a Severed Soul, which follows 2 grave robbers who dig up the body of a murderer. The door leads you to a black and white graveyard that's brimming with gothic atmosphere. The only way forward is to jump into an open grave, which leads you down to the catacombs. Here, you're stalked by the film's antagonist, the spirit of a murderous violin player who sold their soul. The music tells you exactly where the enemy is, and while it's not the most exciting gameplay, it's suitably creepy. Once you find the key item that gets you through the maze, you can relax. A note informs you that there's a wine cellar to your left that's full of enemies, and a laboratory to your right. You do some basic horror game puzzling to unlock the elevator in the lab, which leads you to your next tape. You need a weapon to continue any further in the Symphony tape, so you return to the apartment to try your luck in Sewer Smiles. This tape allows you to swap the black and white artsy aesthetic of early film for the fleshy body horror of the 80s. The tape shows an alien ship crash landing on Earth, and a homeless person who decides to investigate. What they find is an incredibly creepy stop-motion creature, but more importantly for us, the tape shows his gun falling to the floor. The door opens and the sewers are ready for you to explore. Unfortunately, this section is very short, as it takes you right up to the end of the demo. After walking down some incredibly well-textured flesh hallways, you find the malformed gun from the tape, only for you to be attacked by mutant trash monsters. After loading your mutant gun with teeth bullets and killing the enemies, a sentence that I love, the demo ends. The actual gameplay of the demo is very light, but it hits on all the typical survival horror notes. Stealth sections where you avoid an unkillable enemy, logic puzzles, and combat with presumably limited resources. The demo features an item box system, but you don't have a reason to use it just yet. I assume that the inventory system will be relevant on the full release, as you only have 6 slots for items. I've mentioned in other videos that survival horror games tend to fall into either the Resident Evil limited inventory or the Silent Hill infinite inventory camp, and it's clear that this game is going for Resident Evil. In general, the game kind of feels like Resident Evil 7. I don't know if that's due to the UI or the general style, but I could see this being an RE Engine game, which I consider high praise. Now that I think about it, Resident Evil 7 also prominently features VHS tapes, so I imagine this was intentional. My only major issue is that the demo doesn't run particularly well. While I do think it looks fantastic for an indie game, and I really appreciate the stylistic switches between the 2 tapes, The first tape in particular ran really poorly on my machine. Of course, these are all things that I believe will change with the full release and better optimization. Where dead format really shines is in the atmosphere and world. If you haven't figured it out by now, the game is based on the video nasties craze that occurred in the UK in the 80s and 90s, which is an event I'm obsessed with. Quick history lesson for the uninitiated. The video nasty craze was based around the idea that gory horror films being distributed on VHS were corrupting the morals of the UK, and people got so insane about it that it led to the banning of a number of movies and the censoring of others. British police would actually raid video stores and prosecute anyone caught distributing films that were on the video nasties list. Films like The Evil Dead and Cannibal Holocaust were outright banned, whereas others like The Exorcist were simply refused certification by censors of the BBFC. If you're interested at all in this period of film history, I would highly recommend the movie Censor, which takes a fictionalized look at this period, and there are tons of documentaries that will give you a wider perspective on it. I knew immediately from the store page that this demo was using video nasties as a basis for the story, but there are some more obvious nods within the game. The article you find in the apartment references that the group seeking to ban Ghoul films is led by a woman named Mary Lighthouse, an obvious reference to Mary Whitehouse, who spearheaded the video nasty campaign.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't.
The article also states that her group, Lighthouse Protection Services, are calling for public executions of anyone found in possession of a Ghoul film, in an effort to save the children from being exposed to such violence. This is obviously a satirical take on the conservative attempts to censor horror, but the game is clearly going for something more than just replacing White House with Lighthouse. At the end of each tape, the video shows a few shots of a lighthouse, followed by an old teletext screen for the Lighthouse Protection Services, with the words obedience, control, consume, and censor beneath it. You can also find an unmarked tape in the first level that shows you a calm video of fields, with a load of early PC font typeface, which ends with a different shot of a lighthouse. It's also clear that your brother has been investigating the Ghoul tapes, as the wardrobe where you find your present contains a corkboard with a strange map and a number of cryptic messages. Some of the images reference tapes that are in the demo, but I imagine a lot of this will become clearer in the final release. I don't know how many tapes the final game will include, but I hope the developer plays around with different genres. A tape based on 70s slasher movies with a roaming enemy that you can knock down but not kill would be very interesting. Or a supernatural tape that lets you explore a haunted house. There are so many interesting directions that you can take this premise. Of course, the amount of effort it takes to create live action segments to introduce these tapes, and designing unique levels for each area is a lot of work. Though I won't be surprised if there aren't too many different tapes in the final version. I'm not going to say that dead format is the perfect demo, but I do think it's an example of an excellent demo. It shows the game's unique selling point with the mixed media style, and it gives you a couple of examples of what to expect from the gameplay. My only real criticisms are about performance, but those are minor in the grand scheme of things. Not to get on my soapbox, but I think what I really appreciate about this demo is the hard work and love that clearly went into it. In the current world of AI crap and low-effort indie horror, it's really inspiring to see a game try to pull off something this unique and interesting. I highly recommend keeping an eye on dead format, play the demo for yourself, and wishlist the game in advance. If it's anything like the demo, I think it'll definitely be one to watch. Thanks so much for watching. This is just a quick update about the future of the channel. I didn't want to make a whole video about it, so I'll be quick. I plan on bringing back more long-form content, particularly horror game reviews and potentially itch.io deep dives, but I'm giving myself time to get back into the swing of things. I also plan on doing some broader videos about other things I'm interested in, like film, books, and non-horror games. Speaking of broader topics, I also want to say that I have a new podcast that I'd like to promote. Your Book or Mine is a book club podcast where myself and my co-host Kate talk about books. We did a few episodes last year, but we're starting fresh, and the first episode has gone up today. The link is in the description if you want to check it out, and I would highly appreciate your support. And that's about it. Thank you for the warm reception back, and I hope you stick around to see what else I have planned.